Hello, beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is. And what another beautiful day. And so I'm reaching out to all of you, and make sure you're being positive. You know, it takes a lot to do that. It takes years to reprogram yourself. And I meet a lot of people, and I met a guy not too long ago that's dealing with a lot of things like fear. He's got a lot of fear. He admitted that he's got a lot of fear. And so we really do. We need to be careful of what we think. Not only what we think is what we say with our own tongue. And isn't this funny? Now the sun is coming out. But I'm going to keep on going because, is a lot of times when I think the shade here looks not good because the light changes is that when I edit the video, it looks great. So anyway, we're just going to go with the flow. And anyway, so be positive, stay positive. Even if you have to do what I had to do before, I had sticky notes everywhere in my apartment, even in my car, to help me. And it really did. Doing the I am affirmations, they're so important, So if you do struggle with this, and this ant wants to be Starlight's friend. Woohoo! I'll tell you what, they tickle. They tickle. So anyway, besides staying positive, is also thank you to all of you who have been here watching Starlight and being here, loving and supporting me. And I gotta say really quick is yesterday's video, I accidentally deleted the end video somehow or another. I don't know how I did that. It would have been the last short video of my message yesterday about safety tips. So I'm going to make that video again at another time, but I'm just going to let that one just go right now because today I'm focusing on a different topic, another video. So I apologize. I don't know how that happened because I do know when I was making the video that I wasn't able to finish the video because I had too much stuff on my phone. So anyway, thank you for all of you who are here loving and supporting Starlight. And also anyone that would love to send any love donations, you can through my Cash App, and I will have the information here. Ping! Plus, before I start this video, hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and you could find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you could give my videos a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't forget the notification bell, and you can leave me a message down below, beep, 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 and you can share my videos with your family or friends. Plus, don't forget my playlist, and you can also find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. Now today's video and today's topic is about do you got the right job? How do you know if you got the right job? Some people struggle with this. I know I did in the past. I definitely did. And you know what? You know who you got to listen to the most is you. But I'm only here to help you through this time, as far as the job goes. And why are you at the job, that you have? That's something just happened in the last couple of days. And I'm like, great topic for a video, And so, number one, are you happy? That's the biggest one. Hang on. Starlight has been, I'll tell you what, I've been working my ass off today. Starlight did some physical work. So anyway, are you happy? Whatever you do at the job, whatever it is, are you happy? And when I say happy, I mean completely happy. Like a checklist, and that checklist is just like, the relationships that you have, that will be another topic another time. Something that I've been wanting to work on is for a video is, are you happy? And the checklist, are you happy with what you're doing? Number one, are you happy with what you're doing? What? You're not happy. You don't even like what you're doing. Okay. Are you happy with how much you get paid? What? No, I should get more than what I'm getting, Starlight. I know. See, now I'm going to throw myself in here on this. I am doing what I love. And guess what? It's not about what I get from income. Nah. I love, could you let go of the money and still be doing what you're doing and love what you're doing? And knowing that everything will be, when I say everything, all your needs will be met. I'm not talking about your wants, because I tell you what, I can't go anywhere without seeing a topic, for a video, So I'm talking about your needs being met, not, things that you want. But could you do what you're doing right now without getting a paycheck? I know you expect to get paid, right? But you're saying that you're not getting paid what you're you're worth. And I have actually had I did talk to a man a while back, and my heart goes out to him because you know what? He's having a hard time speaking English, number one. And so there's a big problem at the job because he doesn't he speaks basic, like English, so I was trying to talk with him and help him out, and I could tell, sorry, Starlight's out here, I gotta just cross my leg here. I could tell at times when I was talking to him that he wasn't getting what I was saying, and I'm like, and so I would ask him, do you understand what I'm saying? Now, how would I even know if he understands what I'm saying, if he agrees to it? So it is challenging for people out there that can't, they don't speak English good, and they're working for a company that is speaking, speaking English. So I believe a lot of places that, when they hire people, because I've gone through this myself, if you're going to hire anybody and everybody, then have somebody that can speak the languages, so then everybody is going to get the help that they need, hopefully. At least then they can communicate with the person, at least that part. But if you're not happy with the job that that you're doing, why are you doing it? Is it just because of the paycheck? People have jobs for many reasons. And don't mind me, I'm looking at my toes because sometimes I just freshened up, so it's not like I got fresh salt on my, sweat. But there's people that, they get a job for many different reasons. Sometimes, a lot of times actually, it's because they're desperate, because of fear. They fear, that they need that, to get any job, the quickest job. And I've met many people, I've been guilty myself in the past, just getting a job just because you got hired for it. And, it didn't last. I realized, oh my, I got myself in a big ass mess. Starlight is that chick, man. If I'm not happy at at the job place that I work, I've put up with so much with companies. No, I am as happy as can be, serving God, being here, being of service. This is the greatest job I've ever had besides being a mom, and besides when I had my own cleaning business. So, but I'm not going to go in off that rabbit trail. I want to just stay focused right now as far as why are you at the job that you're not happy with? And, you don't even like doing what you're doing. That is a definite sign that you're not where you belong. And, you're not even getting paid. Now, some of you might be happy with how much you're getting paid. You're happy that how much, I know I meet a lot of people, and this one man, like I was saying, he spoke a little bit of English, so that was a big problem. He was getting paid by the hour, and I had to explain some stuff, but it was very hard talking to somebody that speaks a little bit of English. explaining what they were doing to him, and it was totally wrong. He liked his job, but they were pushing him too hard. They expected more and more and more in an hour frame, more, and there's times that he was able to do a lot more work in an hour than other days. And I said, boy, you made a big mistake on that. And I understand, because there's days that we have a lot of energy, and we could do a lot, and be like, wow, I can't believe it. How did I do all that work? And then the next day, you don't have all that energy. And that's what was going on with this man, is that I told him, I'm like, you just made yourself look bad. If you did, they're pushing you to do this much work, and he's working really hard, and, and he wasn't able to do that, and he's being yelled at, and he's stressed out because he likes doing the job that he has, but he's not getting treated right. They're like he's a slave, and like it's an invisible slavery, because these people know, a lot of, managers, supervisors or whatever, they know if, because my brother was working for a company, and he saved the company a lot more money than the other person that worked before him. And it's hard to keep a boss happy, so people sometimes, a lot of times actually, they want to get more money, and if they can save the boss more money, then the person that is saving them money gets more money, because it's like, hey, look at this, I'm saving you a lot of money, I expect to get paid more because I am saving you a lot of money. So you really got to be careful about how you're being treated at your place. Do you feel like you're being treated right at the company that you are at? Now, if you've got your own business, are you happy? Hopefully you're happy at your own business. That's important, because the job that you're doing, how much you're getting paid. And believe me, Starlight for the longest time charged people the same amount of money, for years, and I didn't give myself a raise. So for a good part of my time, I ripped myself off, so that was just a lesson for Starlight. I had a hard time raising the price, and you need to, because the prices go up, every year prices go up, and so it's wise to give yourself a raise, and say, hey, I've been charging you, $10, that's how it started, $10, and and it was kind of, I started off on the wrong foot with my business, an hour, which I was making that at at a company, but I wanted to be honest, and I needed to learn how long it took to do these jobs, so I didn't rip myself off. But I stayed $10 for a long time, and I should, and there's some clients that I worked for, they made sure I stayed there for those hours, and made sure, so I was ripping myself off in so many ways when I started out, because, everything that was supposed to got done, but then there was like a half hour more time that I needed to, look, hey, I'll find stuff for you. Yeah, I bet you will, And so I was ripping myself off, and that's what happens to a lot of people when they're working by the hour. In the beginning of any job, more than likely, when you start off, you're going to be slow, and they should expect, that you're going to be kind of slow because you're new. Everybody's going to work different. Their bodies are made different. They can handle things differently. But as time goes by, you're going to speed up. That means you're going to get more done. Shouldn't you get paid more money because you're making them more money? And then there should be a point that really you really are not going to be able to do any more than what you're already doing. And that's where a lot of people get ripped off at companies. I got this bird friend out here. So you got to be careful with those things. And so are you happy with your job as far as where's it located? Do you like, how far you got to travel? Because that's very important. How about the staff? How about your boss? Are you happy with all these things? And I'm building up to the real reason. I haven't even touched the real reason why I'm making this video. Is, are you happy with your boss? how do you feel about the staff? How do you feel about the other employees, your coworkers? Do you get, vacation time? Do you get benefits? How are they when the holidays come? Do they, when you're sick? How are they, when you take time off? All these things matter. So the checklist, you got to have this checklist. And I'm just going to stay focused on businesses and jobs and stuff like that. And if you're not happy with any of these things, the first thing, just like a relationship, you want to see if you can actually make it changes with it, talk with the boss, see if there's anything that they can do. You don't like how much you get, how long have you been working there? Did you get a raise, after working there so long? Did they, do anything for the Christmas months, whether you celebrate Christmas or not, so you got to really question these things. How are they, when you take time off, do they give you a hard time when you really, really are sick? Because there's companies out there, they get upset because they don't have anybody to replace you. But that's not your problem. That's not your problem. They need to have people that can fill in, like a floater. Their job is they're like an on-call, employee. When somebody's out, they jump in and they fill that spot. So then people that are really sick can take that time off, as much time as they need, because everybody's different as far as their health goes. Sometimes, we could look great on the outside, but we could be really going through some shit on the inside. So it's not about just, having a cold or a flu or something like that, or like having a, hey, I can't work because I broke my arm this week. No, there's a lot of things that, people need to take time off for. And I know I battled with that. I was always afraid of what people were going to think. I'm sick. I got the freaking flu. I got 2 kids. But I was afraid to call out because I'm like, oh, they need me. They need me. Burger King isn't going to survive without my ass being there. I take 3 people's jobs in one, Man, if they replaced me, that was Starlight. It's like they need me there. I'm the Whopper queen there, They need Starlight on the lunch break. I did like 3 people's jobs getting paid $8 something, an hour, having 2 kids. How did I do that? I didn't. I did. But so it's so important. And now I'm actually getting to the point of really, now this happens to a lot of people. No matter what job you have, they all are important. You got to be honest at your job. And that's not always easy. We're going to be put on the spot at times at work, we might witness things at work, it's challenging. There's times that we go through training at jobs, that you got to go through a training, more than likely you're going to go through some kind of training to start working, 'cause especially if you don't know what to do. So they're going to have all these rules, or, you got to be honest with yourself. And you really need to ask yourself, find out ahead of time, if there's another pandemic, are you guys going to, force us to get the injection? Got to ask that stuff ahead of time. Also, like, hey, if I work for this company, if they have a digital ID, are you going to be a part of that system? Isn't that good to find out? The best thing I can offer you is to work for the universe, work for God. And of course, it's not easy for anyone to do that. But I'll tell you what, you'll be so amazed how the universe does things. You could work for God, and be of service. God's got the perfect job for all of us. Only if we're, willing to let go of fear and, take that step of faith to do that. Not anyone and not everyone can do what I'm doing, and other people that have gone through this, is to, trust in God, and God's going to take care of all your needs, and that you're being of service. Not everyone can do this. And, but starting your own business is one of the greatest things that you can do as far as making money and having income, or, doing, different things like, like I said, starting a business, writing a book, something that you love. Find something that you love. And the reason I'm making this video is, are you there just for the paycheck? Because most people are. They are there just because of the paycheck. And guess what? You're in it for the wrong reason. Some people also they take a job. You know why? Woohoo! I felt that went in my ear or something. The other reason is the position that they have. And I'm going to kind of just say these names. Like being a nurse or being a doctor, titles, being a judge, being a police officer, what else? Now I'm not going to say like being a garbage man. Nobody, like that's not like hey, yeah, I want to be a garbage man. No, that's not what I'm talking about. It's these names, like being a military person. A lot of times military people, they get that job for the wrong freaking reason. Police officers, a lot of times they take that job for the wrong freaking reason. Doctors, they get that job, there's a lot of the people out there that they take the job for the wrong reasons. It's for the paycheck, it's for recognition. And the reason I'm mentioning this, and I'm going to put myself out here, I'm not afraid to do this, I need to let go of fear, is in this area somewhere where I am sitting, I wasn't sure, and as I found something, and it made me think there could be something bad that happened off of a hiking trail. But I'm always finding stuff, I've always thought that I would find something in my life, like in, so I ended up researching because there some strange things that I've been dealing with in this particular area where I am located. And so I ended up Googling and checking out like cold cases in this area, and so Starlight found a barrel. And I've watched a lot of freaking police shows, detective stuff. I mean, that is what I watched a lot of serial killing stuff. I was really into this stuff, hardcore. If I could watch like a police detective, I can't even remember the names, but there was a lot of them I loved. I mean, if I could watch a new one every day, like that is what I was really into. I always wanted to learn and understand how all these things, crime scenes and all that. Starlight even thought about getting a job for even cleaning up crime scene places. Imagine that. It's all blood. Blood doesn't bother me one bit at all. But when I say that, I'm like, blood. There's other things that would bother me more, like cleaning up dog shit or vomit, But so anyway, when I say these things, is that I found a barrel, and some ground dug up, and this barrel had like somebody's clothes in it and a whole bunch of rocks in it. And I'll tell you what, you never know what the frig people are doing and why, like why is this barrel here? Why did they cover, nothing looked right to me, not one bit at all. And I don't know if there's anything about this barrel, and I'm just explaining this to get a point across, is that the barrel that I found was off the trail, but whoever, this is the whole point. The barrel, whoever did this, they took limbs and palm branches, dead palm branches and leaves, and they covered it up, so when you're walking on a trail, you wouldn't even see it. But of course, Starlight would have to find it, and I've been doing this scavenger hunt video, which I didn't put that one out. I'm going to do that sometime soon. Sometimes my titles or whatever isn't the right thing for the video to really help people out. But anyway, so throughout the day I was around hiking, walking around, making a video, and I couldn't get that barrel off my mind. There was a lot of rocks and ground, there's even, I didn't know about it until later, and I'm not going to share that with you right now. But I actually ended up calling the police department because I was concerned, so I called the police department up, and they said to call 911. So I did everything that they told me to do. I said, hey, there's this barrel, it's got a lid, it's got all these rocks in here, You know, I'm thinking this, you know, they covered it up so then you couldn't see the barrel off the trail. And the reason I'm making this, I'm getting to the point, is your job is so freaking important, whatever it is that you do. And I believe if you have a job, you ought to do it wholeheartedly. Not for the paycheck. Not for recognition. Not for the benefits. Not for the, you know, you ought to love it, you know, every part of it. And I love every part of what I'm doing with God here. I love every bit of it, you know. So there's no regrets. There's no turning back to what I'm doing here. I love what God is doing in my life right now, the universe or whatever. But anyway, I called up the police department. They wanted to get a location on me, so I had to call the 911 number. And so a cop did meet me. He was a field officer, you know, where I guess that's what they do, is like if somebody calls up and, you know, people wonder why people don't get found, you know. How come, you know, they can't find, you know, different cases, cold cases and stuff like this, and how come something happens to somebody and, you know, people get away with stuff, you know, and people get, you know, not too long ago I did hear of a kidnapping in a location, you know. So there's all these cases of things happening to people all the time, all around the world. And this is the reason why I'm making this video, is so when I met with a police officer, so I had to, you know, and I just was so, from the very beginning, how this whole thing laid out, I thought it was really, you know, not really professional as far as officers go. I was thinking that they would be smart, you know, not make it so obvious, you know, not show up into a sheriff car or sheriff pickup truck or whatever, you know, a field, and, you know. But anyway, they did. The guy did show up in a vehicle for his job, and he was dressed up just like it is, you know. And the reason I'm saying all this stuff is there's so many people around in this area here. Say if there was something that really did happen and somebody was hiding evidence in this barrel, you know, with all these rocks in it and concealing it, you know, they actually covered it up so you could not see it. And I do got pictures on here. And the ground was dug up by a tree. All these rocks were moved around, you know, and things didn't look good on my side here. And so anyway, the police officer did, you know, walk with me, and I said, hey, it's my first time. I got to backtrack, figure out where this trail was, figure out where it was, you know, because I wanted to meet him in a spot where he can easily find me, and I wanted to move things along because I've been here for most of the day yesterday. And it's sad to say, you know, what the officer did when we get to the spot where I think there's something going on, you know, see something, say something, you know, really the officer didn't do shit. And it's so sad, you know. It's like what he did, I did, you know. You know, I actually didn't do anything further yesterday because I had bright clothes on. I wasn't expecting to see a barrel that was covered up with leaves and sticks, you know, with a bunch of rocks in it. And there's a set of clothes on top, you know. And that's what the whole thing was so weird, you know. And there's people that do have mental illnesses. There are people that have spirits. So you never know how they're thinking, how they're functioning. Why did they, you know, cover it up? You know, you know, that's creepy. There's been stories of this, real stories of people hiding stuff in barrels like this. You know, I've watched lots of stuff on TV. And the reason I'm making this is because, are you there for the paycheck? You know, are you there for recognition? You know, or are you there for the benefits? Because I'll tell you what, this officer that came should have took this whole thing serious, whether there was anything there or not. He should have took everything serious, just like there could have been something there. And the reason I say this is, for an example, just recently I've been going through my flash drives and I've looked at some of my old dance videos. Wow, Starlight could dance. So anyway, one of my old dance videos that Starlight did, I haven't watched it in years because you know, it's been in this flash drive. And so it is kind of funny, just like a job, right? Is that when I first watched the video, I was like, wow, Starlight, you can freaking dance, right? And so, but, you know, I kept on watching it and watching it, you know, as, you know, like 3 days or so, because the music isn't even the music I listen to. I don't even dance that way anymore. I can dance that way, but my whole point is the more that I kept on watching that video, it wasn't as exciting as it was the very first time when I watched it. The first time, I was like, like if I was a guy, I would have been like, holy shit, Starlight, you know? Just like your job. If this guy took his job so seriously and said, hey, this lady might be on something, not that she's high, but she might be right. There could be something in this barrel that this person is hiding, because the whole mindset would have been, who the blank would take all these rocks out to get to the bottom of the barrel to find out, is there something down in the bottom of the barrel? So you got to think twisted like these people that do crazy stuff to people. But the guy, all the officer did, he wasn't even concerned about the clothes. You know, what if they were clothes? Maybe, you know, because when people do some crazy shit, they get so scared. They want to hurry up and do something. And, you know, if they were on a drug or something like this while they're in the middle of doing something, and be like, oh, you know, like, I got his clothes now, and I'm just putting this picture together to get people to think a little bit, is that, you know, oh, how am I going to get rid of these clothes? I'm not going to throw them in the garbage because, you know, I've watched detective stuff and somehow or another somebody found it, and then I'm all ratted out. And so the clothes were on top, just a set of clothes, you know, a sports, I don't even know what, I have to Google that up. The reason I'm saying this is that that officer should take his job serious. He should take every call serious, as that could be. And if he really took his job serious and wasn't there just for the paycheck, wasn't there just to get recognized, wasn't there just for the benefits and all these other things that go along with being a police officer, that energy that he puts out, that he's serious about his job, about solving cases, you know what? I believe God would bless him and help him to solve these cases. But when people don't take their job serious, like this officer, and take this, hey, there could be something here, you know, instead of like, oh, it looks just like a barrel of rocks. You know, all night long, all I could think of is how this whole thing laid out, you know, and how he didn't even, he lifted up, you know, he just looked down in there and looked and like, oh, it just looks like a, you can't, the freaking barrel is so, you can't see down at the bottom. So that my whole point is, why do you have the job that you do? You ought to take it wholeheartedly and do it because of your heart, because you care and you love. It's not about the paycheck. It's not about being recognized. You know, if this officer was really serious, like I said about my video, if he put that energy, full energy, in every single call that they get about a possible, like, finding evidence of some sort, you know what? The energy is what matters. But having the energy of that, you know, it's just a pile of rocks here. Whether it's a pile of rocks or not, it's a whole energy flow going on. Just like with my videos, you know, it just kind of faded, you know, the energy. Just like a photo, they say the more you copy it, it just takes away the beauty of that copy. Because I think they call it pixels or something, with all these dots, you know, for the picture. I don't know. I was learning this stuff a long time ago on my, you know, computer. But your job, you know, you take it all serious. Do the best that you can do. It doesn't mean that you got to be perfect, but why do you got the job that you have? It's about, you know, putting your heart out there. Every video I make, my heart is into what I make. You know, I love doing what I do. I do this like everywhere I go. I'm looking for a new story. I'm looking for a new topic. My heart is always on wanting to help people out, wanting people to have a better life, wanting people to feel the way I do, as amazing as I do. So I was really displeased with the police officer out in this area here as far as that job. They really need to get somebody that's really, really serious. I actually took it upon myself to go to that location, and I'll tell you what, talk about being afraid. I was afraid, but I was facing my fear because I had to get down to the bottom of that barrel to find out, is there anything down in the bottom of this barrel? Is there anything underneath the barrel? Because there's people that are out there, you know, they are out there. You don't know what's inside their head, you know, and there was like, you know, the ground was dug up in areas in that area, you know, a grocery cart, which was kind of a weird thing, you know, there was no evidence out there that a homeless man lived out there, you know. The grocery cart, to me, you could, you know, we could look at the grocery cart as so many different things, you know. Shit, if there's somebody dead out somewhere, wouldn't you think a grocery cart would be a great thing to stick them into, to push them somewhere, to get rid of them, you know? So really, I'm disappointed, and this goes on not just in this area where I am, it goes on everywhere. I hear cases all the time about people with doctors, police departments, all over, because the system is failing, it's crashing. You know, people don't have their hearts. If people really had their freaking heart and were honest at their jobs, a lot of cases would be solved. Patients would be getting the real help that they really seriously need, instead of just giving them freaking candy as a medication as candy, you know. I am so displeased with all these things. We need to really, any job that you have, we need to do our best at our jobs that we have, you know, and take it serious. It's not about the paycheck, because I'm here. It's not about the paycheck. I love what I do. It's a being of service is why I'm here. So I don't know why you have the job that you have. I hope it's because you care. I hope it's not like the police officer that just, hey, you know what? I had to dig down in that baby, and, you know, it took me some time. I'd actually, what did I find in the barrel? A golf ball in there. And it doesn't matter. I had the energy that the police officer should have had as far as doing his job the right way. He should have checked it no matter what, whether it's right or wrong about the whole thing with the barrel, whether there was anything in there or not. So I was really hoping to find something, because I would have brought this to the whole police department and said, you know what? We need to stop this. There's a lot of families that lost their loved ones out there in the world somewhere. I know a lady from where I came from. I believe it's a cover-up. Johnstown, New York. There's a girl, Kelly Sue Akernick. I don't know what her last name is. I can't word her last name. But a missing girl. I used to work with her. You know, and it's because there's people. You know, they're not doing their job. They people start out sometimes on the right foot, but as time goes by, they fade out, you know. They don't care about their job. They don't care about, you know, doing the investigations accurately, the way they, you know, go the extra mile. You know, that's what we're here to do, is do it right, you know, not to be perfect, but put your heart into what you do. That's what it's about. And you know what? God will bless you. If that officer put his heart into his job, you know what? The officer's like, wow, he really cares. You know what? I'm gonna have somebody trip and fall, just like Starlight, you know, finding something out in the woods somewhere. And then people wonder why they don't go, you know, they could find something like, you know what, I don't want to go and call the police officers, because they don't do shit. I've gone to officers so many times in my life, and they didn't do nothing. And then wonder why things, you know, people don't want to, you know, even say, hey, I got, you know, and I'm sorry to bring this up, but I need to bring this up. It's happened to me. There's been women that have gotten raped, and they had cases that they've gone into the police officer in the department, and the police officers laughed them out of the police department because a woman went there and complained about being raped by somebody, and they did shit about it. And then people think that their town is safe because, hey, nobody's calling up about anything. Well, a lot of women and men, people have gone to the police department, but they don't do their homework right. They don't do the paperwork right. They don't want to do the paperwork. I've called the police department so many times in my life. They don't like the paperwork. That's why they don't want to really work hard, because it takes time to do the paperwork, the names. And then, you know what? To even get the information accurate, correct. You know how many times in cases with the police officers, they didn't even have my name on the police report correct. They didn't even have my name right. They didn't have, it's not just me speaking up on these cases. My daughter has called the police department. She wanted to see the police report. Freaking police report was shit. It was all a mess. They didn't even care about doing their job right. People wonder why shit is not being, if people took their job seriously, people would be in jail for raping women. They wouldn't get away with it the second and third, fourth time, and women would speak up more. Because if police officers spoke up and said, did their job and, did the report correctly, the next time another woman complains about the same man, all this stuff is accurate. It's all correct. It's not just a half-assed kind of job being done. And then you wonder why all these people are missing and how come nothing's happening. Because people don't have their heart into what they're supposed to be doing. Why are they there in the first place? Why are they there? Are they there just hey, look at me, I'm a police officer. Hey, look at me, I'm a doctor. No, it shouldn't be that. Just to be recognized. Hey, yeah, what do you do for a living? I am a priest. I'm a pastor. I'm a doctor. I'm a veteran. I'm a Marine guy. I'm an Army. The titles. If that's all you read, that you're getting the job for the wrong reason. Make sure whatever it is that you're doing it because you care and you love and you want to help out. You want to be a service to help people. You want to, like if you're an officer, you want to solve those cases. That's why you always got to raise up the bar. It's easy to go back down, and not do it, It's always, you got to kind of get back up and, that's why who is ever in charge of the police department, they got to make sure people are on their shit, and they got to be, that means they got to do their shit. They got to do their jobs, making sure everybody else is doing their work. Hey, I noticed that, the police report, is the police reports being done correctly? A lot of shit happens. People I don't even want to call the police department. I'm surprised I even called up this time because so many times they failed me when I called. And I'm not here to pick on officers. This is about all of us. This is about all of us. It's about the whole point is, why are you doing what you do? It should be because you care. Not about the title, I'm an officer of the law. Yeah? What are you doing? I'm a doctor. Yeah? So what? Are you helping people or are you killing them? Because I'll tell you what, a lot of shit out there right now is not helping the people as far as the medical field goes. So whatever you do, please do it with your heart and do it full-heartedly, because that's what we're here for. It's not about the paycheck. It's not about the title. And if we all did this, this world would be a whole, people would be locked up behind jail and bars or whatever because they got caught. Because if an officer doesn't do their job right, because, do something different with the paperwork then. If it's a paperwork issue, then make it so then the paperwork actually gets done in a better way. There's got to be different ways to correct that problem, so then they just don't want to do, hey, I don't want to do all that work because shit, the paperwork I got to do. I don't want to do all the paperwork. But you know what? People could get away with shit because they're not doing the whole job like they should. This has happened many times in my life, and I've heard stories of other people going through the same shit. So this is not just coming out of my ass here. This is stuff that I've actually witnessed my whole life with stories like this. So anyway, I love you all. Really, why do you have the job? I hope it's more than just a paycheck or a title. Anyway, Starlight loves you. Namaste. Starlight loves you. Love, light, and peace. Thank you for watching. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace.